Hey guys, welcome back again to the We Have Issues podcast. I like to present a special topic today where we talk about the NFL halftime show, where we had, for the first time, seen Bad Bunny do the whole entire halftime show, which was kind of got a lot of backlash, and that's what we're here to talk about. So once again, my name is Carvell.
I'm Chris.
My name is Matt.
So Bad Bunny, whose real name is Benito Antonio Martinez Ocaso, and he's from Puerto Rico, born and raised in Puerto Rico. And he speaks Spanish. This is for the first time that we've seen, at least in my lifetime, a performer do it in a completely different language, which was Spanish. And that caught a lot of criticism. There was also a lot of criticism with other areas of this halftime. Some people complaining about the political aspect of it. Some people complaining about the content, the style, the presence, controversy over past behavior. And then we're also going through some sort of cultural war. So as you can imagine, that this put a lot of emphasis on why Bad Bunny was unacceptable for halftime. But also at the same time, a lot of Americans didn't quite understand why Bad Bunny was a bad idea. So one of the things we're going to try to do is just talk about our idea and why this may or may not have been a good idea to have Bad Bunny as a halftime performer. And one of the things that we're having an issue with in our society is, why do certain groups have such a strong pushback at a performer like this? Or why didn't we have a pushback earlier with past performers who were much worse than Bad Bunny? That is something that we're trying to deal with and try to understand right now. So let me ask you, Matt and Chris, when considering Bad Bunny for our halftime show, do you guys think that was a good idea or a bad idea, and why?
I mean, to me, it didn't make sense at all. It doesn't make sense to me from a marketing standpoint, and maybe that's just because I'm getting older and I'm not like hip with the music anymore. But I didn't know who Bad Bunny was. I'd never heard of him before. I used to be a musician, so I like to think that I stay pretty in the loop on things. But completely unknown to me. Couldn't name a song. Never even heard a song from him. So marketing wise, you just don't have the draw there. This isn't even if amongst the young people, if he is big, he doesn't have the same weight to his name. It's, Creed, Prince, the Rolling Stones, the Who, even Kendrick Lamar. Like, I knew who that was and actually enjoyed that show very much. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. So you just don't have that legendary status that quantifies him being at the Super Bowl, in my opinion. And like I said, it just doesn't make sense from marketing. It's completely in Spanish, and I really don't have an issue with the Spanish thing so much. I've said before, why not get Carlos Santana? I could have dealt with that a lot better. But when it's completely in Spanish, it's very Latino themed. It's marketed toward 15% of the population. I mean, that's 15% roughly of Americans speak nothing but Spanish. So that's a very low number to be trying to hit, to be, catering to very specifically. So it just didn't make sense to me in that aspect. It didn't translate well live from what I saw, like on the video. You got to go through to see the whole performance and get the full scope of it. I can appreciate the artistry, and the choreography of it. Not my thing, but it looks good on video. But if you watch the videos from the stands, as somebody said, it looked like Jurassic Park because all you could see is the little grass or sugar cane or whatever it was rustling around. So it didn't translate good visually. It was just blah. It was just a blah performance. Like, it wasn't that iconic Super Bowl show to me.
So Matt, I kind of want to rebuttal, and I'm not gonna say, but Bad Bunny is actually and has been the number one performer in the world, and I think that's one of the reasons why a lot of Americans don't necessarily know him. But a lot of the world, especially Spanish-speaking world, knows him. On Spotify, it was 2020 through 2022, and in 2025, which is last year, he was actually the number one performer in the world. He's number one on Spotify. He just has a global dominance. Obviously he's from Puerto Rico, and what the NFL has been trying to do, and I don't know if you guys have recognized. I don't know if you guys watch football. I love football, but what the NFL has been trying to do is they've been trying to stretch their arms a little bit more. So now you're seeing a lot of NFL games being played in Europe or some being played in South America, and I think that's the reach they're trying to get to, because they understand they dominate the American market. There's a little bit more room to grow, not a whole lot of room to grow, but guess where there is to grow? Outside the American market.
I do have a marketing background. That's what my degree is in. Do you watch football, at least casually? Carvell, you do, right?
Right.
Carvell isn't the target demographic.
Right.
Because he's already watching. He's already going to be there. I think Bad Bunny was a great marketing decision because of what Carvell said. The NFL has been trying to reach into the Spanish-speaking market, not just the internal American Spanish-speaking market, but also into Mexico, into South America. That is, hundreds of millions of people that could be buying NFL jerseys, that could be subscribing to NFL game packages, could even be coming to games when they come to America. Like, some people just come to America to watch an NFL game. Obviously, they want to appeal to that, and what better way to do that than one of the biggest stars in the world, like Carvell was saying. Just because he's not represented in America so much, even though he's fairly popular with the Spanish-speaking community. I'm not a personal big fan of reggaeton, but that's just personal preference. But a lot of people are, and he appeals to them. And first off, there's a few good things going for Bad Bunny. He's Puerto Rican, so he is American. For the last few artists have not been Americans, right? When you look
right.
in the past 10 years, a lot of them aren't Americans. So he's a good choice for that in this political climate. I don't feel like the NFL owners are part of that, kind of anti-ICE sort of thing. But I mean,
right.
they recognize that is kind of a thing. And to have a prominent Hispanic artist kind of does make a point. And more to the point, it gets people intrigued. So your casual, even if you don't listen to Bad Bunny, even if you don't watch the NFL, you heard a whole bunch of weird stories like Bad Bunny's going to be wearing a dress, he's going to be burning American flag, he's going to, all of this kind of, stupid crap that people are like, you know what? I want to see the spectacle. I'm gonna tune in on this, and he's going to draw that in. That's why, from a marketing standpoint, when you're marketing, you're not reaching the audience that already exists usually. You're reaching out to new audiences because that's how you grow your brand. And that's what the NFL's doing.
But there's also in marketing, there's, you want to market. Do you want to market to 10 people who are just casually walking by and hope they buy your product? Or do you want to market to a very select one or two that you're going to be able to entice?
Well, to be honest, they get their money for the advertisers for that show.
So my point, though, was...
they don't need them to watch every NFL game. They need them to watch that NFL game. They need to watch that halftime show and catch some ads. And then they can say to their advertisers, hey, look, we got this much. Even if they don't stick around for anything but the halftime show, there's product placement in that halftime show that, brands want people's eyeballs to be on. So it is valuable.
Right, but so the way I see it is, Spanish-speaking people have been here with us Americans since the NFL's
since before
inception.
America. Honestly, yeah, right.
Well, so they have been able to appreciate the NFL's comings as we have, and this is something they haven't organically drifted to this. I mean, how long has the NFL been going on? How many years? It's been
going on for a long time, but
almost 100 years now.
Yeah,
Ooh,
but
wow.
the NFL has been playing in Europe for I want to say the last 5 years, but they recently just touched South America, and they just touched South America. The way the NFL is perceiving everything and how they want to go forward is all about money. Now, one of the questions you have to ask, and which nobody's asking, is how much money did the NBA make after Yao Ming, Jeremy Lin, and other prominent foreign athletes like them made? I can tell you Yao Ming made a lot of money for the NBA because he was from China. Mm-hmm. And then you play games, and what the NBA started to do, they started play games in China. They started play games in other places, but start having summer leagues, whatever, everywhere. And it's a marketing strategy. And, I don't know how much, a lot has changed because of the political environment, but there was a time where China was giving a lot of money to the NBA. And when I say giving, I'm talking about buying jerseys. I'm talking about buying, tickets, whatever it may be, having games there to the NBA. And it became a really strong profit that the NBA made. And so this is where the NFL is at right now. The NFL is saying, okay, we've maxed out probably what we can make from the, hometown. Now we're like, let's expand the market. You think about soccer and like how some of those athletes, their global presence is insane. I don't watch soccer. Why do I know about Messi, right? Why do I know about Ronaldo? I don't know. I don't even know how good they are. But I'll tell you what, these are like the richest players in the world. Why do I know about Manchester United? I don't care about soccer. I don't think I've ever watched a soccer game, but I know Manchester United. And guess what? If I saw a really cool Manchester United jersey, I might actually even buy it, because I'm thinking to myself, well, this is a household name. Everybody knows it. This is actually something that, and that's the power of what Chris is talking about as marketing. Now, Bad Bunny, I think especially a lot of people that are leaning very right, they don't like him. I don't think it's necessarily because of him performing at the halftime this year, but I think it's more so about the political backlash and how he has been one of the most outspoken guys against Trump. Mm-hmm. And one of the ways he's been outspoken, because this all starts from 2017, that remember, what did Trump say about Puerto Rico? He said it's some crappy island. You guys remember that?
No, that was
what's his name? That comedian.
It was a comedian at one of his rallies that said it was a floating pile of garbage or something.
Okay, he was saying that, but there was something that Trump, I don't know, he threw water bottles or something. It was just this whole thing about Trump and Puerto Rico. A lot of people from Puerto Rico kind of had this, ill feeling, and Bad Bunny was one of them. And he was very well outspoken against Trump. And so he brought this atmosphere that, in a sense, especially to people that have like very conservative views, that, hey, this guy is very un-American. So I don't think it's necessarily like, if somebody says it's lyrics, I'll say, bro, like, you don't know what you're talking about, because the last, 20 some Super Bowls, we've had worse lyrics, and stuff. We had people talking about shooting other people. We've had people talk about drugs. We've had people talking about sex and all that stuff before. There's nothing different, right? And most people don't know, Bad Bunny performed in 2020 at the Super Bowl. He performed with J-Lo and Shakira. And he performed one of the songs that everybody knows. We just don't know it's Bad Bunny. It's called I Like It Like That. So everybody knows that song. I never knew it was Bad Bunny. I just thought that it was this random Spanish speaker guy. One thing that people talk about, which I do agree with, is I didn't like that I didn't understand what he was saying. How do you guys feel about that?
I listen to a lot of foreign music, so it didn't really bother me too much. But I mean, I would much rather have had subtitles during the live broadcast.
I think it was better that they didn't have the subtitles, actually, because it's one thing about hearing bad lyrics, and it's another thing about reading bad lyrics, just for me.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with Chris. I listen to different foreign music, so the language thing, I really didn't have a problem with that. My gripe isn't like the from the MAGA perspective. It's in that camp, but it's not for the reasons that they have. It's more like just this conglomeration of, I can't understand it. I don't like the style of music. And, I don't care about the story they're trying to tell. When I'm watching Super Bowl halftime show, I go to theater when I want theater. I go to the Super Bowl halftime show to drink beer and listen to, crappy music. Again, Creed. So I didn't really have a problem with the lyrics or anything like that. I could deal with that. It's more like you're saying, Carvell, the political overtones and messages, like for better or for worse, like it or not, Trump is president. You got a guy that's against your American president. You got a guy who's Puerto Rican, who might be a U.S. citizen, but does that equate to American culture? Not really. Nobody can relate to that on the large scale, and it just that's kind of what bothers me. I mean, the guy's a member of the Puerto Rican Independence Party. He wants to be independent. He thinks Puerto Rico shouldn't be part of the United States. So why should we say this is just an exemplary example of Americanism here, even though he doesn't want to be part of the United States?
I have a complicated relationship with Bad Bunny's performance. First off, it was technically fantastic. Like it was a really good show. Like you said, it probably didn't translate well live, but on the screen, I thought it was great. Like it had good symbolism, all that stuff. But like you said, it's his attitude. On to some of the points about him not being American. What is more American than hating on the U.S. president? How many "Not My President" bumper stickers were sold back in the day? How many "I did that" stickers have you seen on the gas pump?
I would say it's a recent development to be this bad faith. I mean, it's always been funny. I mean, I used to listen to comedians that would bag on the president, but now it's scary. I mean, it's in bad faith now.
Green Day did the opening for the Super Bowl, right? They absolutely hate the president, and and I bet you would not have minded Green Day as the halftime show, correct?
I would have to see the set list. No, I would have minded it. That's coming from somebody who really likes Green Day, and a lot of their stuff is, I'm over it. Like, Green Day has gone too far into political sphere. You can have your opinion, but they've gone overboard.
I think it's kind of what Chris said. It's an American experience, right? To kind of criticize the presidents. Like, Sleepy Joe just didn't come out of nowhere, right? I don't think any liberals were calling him Sleepy Joe. I don't think strong conservatives were calling Trump names and stuff, making nicknames for him. So it's actually something like us Americans do. We criticize Obama, we criticize Joe Biden, we criticize Trump. That's very normal. That's, like Chris said, it's very American.
I think it's unfair too to claim that Bad Bunny, like the Puerto Ricans are kind of this other in America. And actually, I think that's a huge gripe that Puerto Ricans have with the rest of Americans. There are a lot of different Americas. I mean, someone from Texas and someone from California and someone from New England are completely different cultures, completely different experiences. They're all Americans. So
Agreed.
Why is it when they speak Spanish, they cease to be America but different?
Because they haven't contributed to the United States the way that the states have.
I mean, are you kidding? Like the Puerto Rican diaspora in New York City has been very involved in American culture in New York City, and Puerto Rican artists have been very prominent in the music industry for the last few decades. We saw one of them, Ricky Martin, at the halftime show. He did fantastic as well. Puerto Ricans are embedded into American society just as much as any other group, in my opinion. But one thing I didn't like about Bad Bunny's performance is, like you said, Matt, this is the conflict I have. He has his right to gripe and talk back, like, you know, kind of express his discontent with America, because America has, for the most part, treated Puerto Rico very poorly historically. CIA experiments being done on people there, lack of hurricane relief. You know, that's where those power poles were in the halftime show. You know, like that's a criticism of America kind of abandoning Puerto Rico and treating it like it's less than America. So of course Puerto Ricans are going to want to separate themselves. This is the thing with, like, the NFL's choice of Bad Bunny. Like, Bad Bunny did a lot of things. Like you said, he's like part of that independence movement that kind of hit me a little raw. Like, he comes out waving the Puerto Rican flag, but which Puerto Rican flag?
The independence
flag. He changed the shade of blue. When he came out, you know, he's redefining America. He wants to kind of separate Americans from this greater America. Like, oh, all of these countries in the Western Hemisphere, we should just be like our own thing.
Do you think he could have done that for marketing?
I mean, it absolutely could be. I mean, controversy is marketing, but we like make a lot of offhanded jokes and things like that. But like, there's a hint of truth in everything we say, right?
Right.
There's a hint of truth in what he's saying. You know, absolutely, it could be a marketing decision, but if you have to have some kind of legitimacy to that. What I would have liked Bad Bunny to have come in is to have waved the U.S. Puerto Rican flag, right? And, you know, he could have said, hey, we're different, but we're still you. We're still Americans. And that would have been a much more powerful statement to all the haters than Bad Bunny singing "This is what you came for" in Spanish, and then have Lady Gaga sing in English. That would have been a much more powerful statement he could have made that could have brought the country together stronger. But all he's doing is emphasizing the points that Turning Point USA was making with their halftime show.
The right played right into it too, is what's sad. Is, I mean, the way I looked at it was, I knew it wasn't for me right off the bat, and I was like, I'll turn the TV off or go do something else. I mean, honestly, I wasn't even going to watch until my friends invited me over. But you know, I could just turn it off or go do something else, or leave it on and let it be background noise and let it go. But you know, conservatives flipped out and made such a big deal about this, and they're so easy to freaking troll because now look at it, and you got white women everywhere acting like they've got their masters in Latino history and crap, walking around talking about, oh, the symbolism. I couldn't understand a word of it, but I got all the symbolism that was in it. Bullshit. You didn't understand any of it. And you haven't watched it again since you watched it the first time. You didn't TiVo this shit. You didn't DVR it. Nobody's watched it again. Nobody cared that much. So I don't want to hear that crap. But they're acting like it's the greatest performance that was ever put on at the Super Bowl. It's not. But conservatives play right into it, and they're just fighting online. And then, you know, they go to this other extreme and have Turning Pimp USA get on there and do their halftime show, and it wasn't a bit better, man. It was not.
It was so much worse.
I mean, I have proclivities to it because I like rock music and I like live bands, and that's about as far as it went.
for me, the Turning Point USA show, I mean, it was obviously very rushed. Obviously, they couldn't sell tickets to it because there wasn't enough lead up time. The show that Turning Point put on wasn't a terrible show. There were a few suspect acts, you know. It was more like going to a live concert.
Right.
And like those things happen at live concerts all the time. Like lip syncing errors. I mean, if you're really into that kind of music, I'm sure you really enjoyed it. And that's great.
I played it for 5 minutes and I was just like, yeah, this ain't it.
Well, I mean, it's not offensive. It's just low production values. Yeah. I mean, it's higher than like our production values, obviously, but you know, I mean, it's not.
I don't know. I could have put on a better show.
It's not.
I mean,
it's not
Matt
compared.
would have got 1 million views just like that. Come on now.
Fraggle Rock could have come out there and done it.
I mean, the artists seem to be doing a good job. I mean, a lot of it was quite.
Matt, I'm gonna call you Bad Money.
Bad Money.
A lot of it was pandering, which I don't really care for, but whatever.
That's country music.
Yeah,
though.
I'm gonna get my truck and my gun, and I don't want to watch all this truth about cops shooting American citizens, and I'm gonna be ignorant.
The only thing that could have made it better, and I know why they didn't do it, is if they had Ben Shapiro come do his rap out there.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
You know what?
I would have watched that.
That might have saved it.
I would have watched
honestly.
that.
Also, I want to say some choices about Turning Point USA's halftime show. It's longer than the halftime at the Super Bowl is. Like,
well,
what the hell is that?
They didn't have to switch out
though,
because the Turning Point one was pre-recorded, and they have to do set change and everything for the Super Bowl. But TP, they just brought it out and bam, it's there. So,
I mean, but if your video is longer than the halftime, people are gonna have to miss some of the game to watch your show. What's the deal with that?
Yeah.
Both of them missed the mark. That's my bottom line.
They did for different reasons. I just saw the Turning Point USA show as like this kind of this gross pandering to a particular audience. And
both of them pandered. I mean, you're saying you Bad Bunny.
I don't know. I feel like Turning Point, but I think Turning Point wants to be more like homogenous. I feel like there's just one way of thinking, and there's one idea of something where it's like I don't necessarily see an invitation to a Spanish-speaking crowd, a black crowd, a more diverse.
Should have had a Hispanic artist.
I saw more black people on the TV than I did on Bad Bunny.
I think they could have made a very strong message by having a Hispanic artist on the Turning Point USA.
I mean, I agree. You got to understand, like a lot of Hispanics, there's still after all this time, a lot of Hispanics support Trump like to the fullest, and the fact that you have an opportunity to still keep some of those conservative Hispanics in your corner, one of the best ways is you could have just fit them inside your show somehow, some way,
Well, going back to the marketing, the conservative movement, MAGA, is very good about that. They have their target audience they know is going to buy, and they will hold on to them. That's why I disagree kind of with what Chris is saying is, the NFL is reaching out into other markets that haven't come to organic fruition anyways. And it's a big risk because you're alienating the sure crowd to possibly pick up some stragglers from somewhere else. So that's why I wouldn't have made that decision. Plus, I think Bad Bunny's been boosted by bots anyways.
We all know about Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
And during that time period was at some of the heights of the Black Lives Matter. Mm-hmm. Black people are still watching the NFL. Black people are still knowing every player on their team and all this stuff. We support Colin Kaepernick, but at the same time, we still love and support the NFL. The NFL, they're smart at doing something where they're going to have their intentions, but they're not going to alienate their crowd to the point where they totally leave, right? I love American football, man. I like it. It's my favorite sport.
America in the name.
Yeah, it's my favorite sport, and if one day I can see some guy from Brazil that can throw the ball better than Tom Brady, I'm gonna love that. And guess who's else gonna love that more than me? All the Spanish-speaking people, all the Spanish-speaking community. I would love to see that. I love that diversity. It's the underdog that the American people love, right? If I can see the NFL marketing out to everyone in this world, and I could see people who I didn't expect thrive in the NFL, I would love that. I think the party's view on this is actually going to be very mixed. And I don't think we're going to be able to pinpoint the view of the party. I think a lot of people in the party are very anti-Trump, kind of like me. and they're going to anything that Trump dislikes, they might like, without putting too much effort in psychological thinking or rational thinking, without putting too much effort in that. But if we actually look at it with trying not to be as judgmental, those ones who are going to be very logical, they still will probably have a problem with the halftime show, mainly because there is little that we could understand. But at the same time, they might also say that this is actually a very good, diverse halftime show where a lot of people who didn't have a chance to enjoy the halftime show or didn't even care about football will had a chance to do so. And so there's good that came out of this. They might have not liked it, but they might think that good came out of this halftime show. But our party is going to be very mixed on this. Probably more leaning towards the halftime show was good, but it's going to be very mixed.
I think I agree with that, Carvell. I think that the American Solidarity Party appeals very strongly to Hispanics in this country, and we have quite a few Hispanic members, quite a few prominent Hispanic members, quite a few very engaged, passionate members who are Hispanic and Latino. They're going to see this as kind of we're being seen in America, and we are able to kind of come out of the shadows almost, and hey, we are here, we are American, we are contributors to this society, give us our due. I think that is a really positive thing, and I think that's something that the party can get behind. With that being said, it's about those being American. We are the American Solidarity Party. We are here for the United States of America, for its benefit, and for the benefit of all the people who live here. And the sort of thinking that Hispanics need to be separated from other Americans, I don't think that jives very well with the party's positions. I think we need to bring more together. Obviously, the party's going to be against, the usage of ICE at the Super Bowl, which is the reason Bad Bunny, canceled his U.S. tour, is because there were threats about that. And they're going to be against that kind of usage, very against Trump. So if Trump hates this, then obviously we're going to be for it just to spite him. You're going to see a lot of that. So there's a lot of people that support the Hispanic movement in the party in America. And like you said, I think that more people are going to support that than not.
Yeah, it's kind of a two-part question. So individuals within the party, like you guys are saying, there's probably a fair split between the two. Probably some that lean more pro, some that lean more against it. As far as the overall party, as far as the American Solidarity Party is concerned, the party does not care about a Super Bowl performance. We can't afford groceries. We can't afford health care. We have American rights being trampled on right now. We've got other countries breathing down our throats. World War III we're on the brink of. Those are the things we're worried about. There needs not be a statement on Bad Bunny at the Super Bowl.
Absolutely not. No.
We're not going to. The American Solidarity Party, this is a great opportunity to differentiate ourselves from the Republicans and the Democrats. This is all. I mean, we just had files released about a global pedophile ring, and people are up there, for God's sakes, talking about how the stock market's doing. That's the kind of thing that we want.
50,000, Matt.
And you know what? We don't care about that either, because nobody
cares about the Dow.
Nobody can pay their rent.
I don't know anybody that invests in the Dow. Who invests in the Dow?
The housing market is in complete shambles. You've got young people. There's not going to be colleges. There's not going to be affordable college for them to go to, and much less a house for them to be able to get into when they get out into the job market. If there is a job market left, we don't care about this.
Thank you guys for joining the We Have Issues podcast. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, send a message. Let us know what your opinion is. We'd love to hear it. And hey, maybe, if your opinion is good enough, we can have you on the show. Or maybe not. We'll see. Leave a post. Well, again, my name is Carvell.
I'm Chris.
I'm Matt.
You guys enjoy your day. Thank you.